This is a story about my great Uncle Tom. I have, and always will, regret the fact that I never knew any of my grandparents. My dad's dad passed away 4 years before I was born, and his wife, my grandmother, died 3 years before that. Both my mom's parents died in 1946 when I was barely 2 years old, so I have no memory of them either. Because my father's family lived in Maine, I never really got to know many of his close relatives very well. But because my mother's side of the family lived, in my childhood at least, in or near Vermilion, I'm happy to say that I had the pleasure of knowing most of them quite well. The one I knew the best, the one I always had a positive impression of, and still do, was my great-uncle. His full name was Thomas Harry Bottomley. He was one of 5 children, the youngest son born to my great-grandparents, Ernest Taylor and Clarissa Clara Ellsworth Bottomley. He was born on a farm in Granite Lake, Minnesota in 1887. Due to my great-grandfather's failing health that made farming too much of a task for him, the family relocated to Milan, Ohio, in the latter part of the 20th century, where he owned a grocery business near the square with his brother George. Uncle Tom had started school in Milan, but in the early years of the 20th century, the family moved to a home on Exchange Street here in Vermilion, and he attended school in the town's recently, 2024, raised State Street School. He was a good student and graduated with the VHS class of 1907. His class was comprised of only 7 students. It was the very first class to complete a 4-year curriculum in our education system, the Vermilion education system. 4 of his fellow classmates became teachers. 1 became a commercial fisherman, 1 a pharmacist, and 1, Ralph Gegenheimer, unfortunately died way too early. He died in 1909. Following high school, Tom went to work for a local pharmacist named Albert Henry's Hart, Sr. In his first store on Division, now Main Street, in beautiful downtown Vermilion, that shop is currently occupied by Lee's Landing Gift Shop and Art Gallery. That's where this photo that I'm showing you was taken. He was working the soda fountain. But back to Tom. He then attended Ohio Northern University, where he earned a BA degree in pharmacies. After graduating, he earned the highest state board pharmaceutical grade ever made up until that time. As a consequence, he immediately found employment because it wasn't a big problem for him. Tom soon found himself working as an assistant manager of the busy Standard drugstore located in the Scholfield Building on East 9th Street in Euclid in downtown Cleveland. This corner at the time was considered to be the busiest corner in America, next to Times Square, that is. Some of the customers were very well known. Among them were people such as Mary Garden, a Scottish-American operatic lyric soprano, who was described as the Sarah Bernhardt of the opera. Uncle Tom prepared makeup confections for her appearance at the old Cleveland Opera House. And there were others, such as actor John Barrymore, actor, singer, comedian DeWolf Hopper, the stage and screen actor Adolphe Menjou, and many more. There was also a very beautiful singer, comedian, Anne Held, who was known as the famous milk bather. Wow. My uncle recalled selling soap to her. She was said to bathe in 40 gallons of milk each day to maintain her complexion. He also sold cigars to then Cleveland Mayor Thomas L. Johnson. Tom also recalled the early days at the store when ailing and troubled souls could buy opium without the advice or consent of a physician to kill pain or induce sleep. He fondly remembered when the first soda fountain went into a store, and even when the first sandwich was sold in one. He was a busy guy. That soda fountain in Cleveland was probably the second one because Hart had one here in Vermilion. In June of 1915, he married a pretty Fostoria-born girl named Florence Schaefer. During the years that followed, the couple had 3 children, a boy and 2 girls, and life was good. Yet Uncle Tom had further ambitions. When he started out, he was paid $27.50 a week, and his hours were very long. But no matter, he never complained. Moreover, he also found time to earn a law degree. Eventually, he became the store manager, and for the next 3 decades, he practiced and enjoyed his profession and his family. Though I never knew him as well as I did my parents, I still recall his positive and friendly attitude, his smile, and his laugh. He retired at age 76 and immediately took my aunt on a world cruise. His schmoozing days with the corporate brass and his pill-making days done, he took time to schmooze with his family and friends. And I am so glad that he did. That is because he was my great, very great uncle. Well, thanks for listening this week. This is a story that I wrote last August about my uncle. I added a few pictures. I hope I have notated them well enough for everybody to see the different things. I remember him so well, and he was such an upbeat guy. Well, in any case, that's the story of Vermilion for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Come back next week and another story of Vermilion's yesteryear. Thanks for listening.